I would love to know how you address anti-Semitism and anti-Blackness in your content, but also, I guess, a larger question would also be like in the world, because I think the interesting thing is that like sometimes you're encountering anti-Blackness in spaces that are Jewish, and then sometimes you're encountering anti-Semitism in spaces that are Black, and then also you're holding it all. Like, how do you do it online, but also just like as a human? Because I think that it's really important sometimes for us to have distinctions between like, yes, you have an online presence, you are also like a 25-year-old woman out in the world. Like, I think sometimes we can be like, oh, that's Raven Reveals. Well, like, no, that's also actually Raven Schwam-Curtis. So how do you hold all of that online in your own personal world?
It's a really fabulous question and a deeply personal question. I'll tackle the personal world aspect first. I think for those of us who exist at various interstitials, having to hold when one community that we belong to is being violent towards another community that we belong to is a deeply painful experience. Like when I speak to a relative on my Black side of the family who makes a deeply anti-Semitic comment about how all Jewish people are rich, and they think that they're complimenting me or saying something nice, but don't realize that they're reifying and regurgitating a trope that is actually deeply violent historically and contemporarily towards the Jewish community. Or an experience that I had that I grieved about very publicly online, and the only video you'll find of me crying on the internet, where I went to a Torah study with a rabbi who was a white appearing Ashkenazi man, and I made a connection between the Torah portion we were studying and something that W.E.B. Du Bois had written, because I bring Black studies into a lot of things, and he was very enthusiastic about it and pulled up the passage I was referring to in Du Bois's work, and that passage had the N-word and the C-word in it. And this rabbi proceeded to read everything, saying the N-word with the hearty R, as well as the C-word, during Torah study. And so now suddenly, a space that I'm supposed to feel safe in with other Jewish people is steeped in anti-Blackness and feels deeply violent. And now I no longer feel safe in this community space. It's a lot to negotiate and navigate. And I think there are no easy answers here, but what I've learned is that part of my role is being the link, right? Elucidating why it is that that thing that you said that you thought was permissible or acceptable is actually deeply violent. And that if you care about me, if you love me as a family member or a community member, you will do the work to understand how you feel that bridge